Why is racism coming back? More buzzwords to justify it. The newest one is black fatigue. Before that, it was DEI. You understand there's never anything good enough for these races, right?
Now, ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a very important topic to the black community right now, which is black fatigue. Now, as a black man who isn't an African American, I came here from Africa. I feel like this is a topic that I can share a very different perspective on compared to a lot of people out there in the discourse. Now, here's why I got inspired by this video. I was going on YouTube and I saw this 40-minute video by this big creator talking about a term called black fatigue. Now, that stands out to me because black fatigue just sounds like people being tired of black people. And after some research, I figured out that black fatigue is actually how black people felt during the time of oppression and when things just weren't going their way.
Black fatigue is actually a book on how racism erodes the mind, body, and spirit and explores systemic racism and its effect on black people. These racists aren't even smart enough to know the definitions of the words they're using, such as DEI.
So yeah, that's the whole thing, right? A lot of people don't know what the term is, but they're going ahead and creating this discourse about it, and everybody is creating their own narrative about black fatigue and black not fatigue. Okay, so what I really want to stem down in this video is how this term and this trend is kind of creating a separation between black people and white people. This is one of the most unnecessary divisions I've seen in a while, and it just shows the importance of social media and how much it can influence people on a daily basis. All right, let's first take a look at the side that I think black fatigue is a good thing.
The most privileged black people in the world, these people have built enormous platforms and have so much money, and yet they are still perpetual victims all the time. And all they ever do is lecture white people about how to talk to or about black people, and then they lecture other black people if they don't talk or think or speak in ways in which they approve.
Now, this guy is referring to really rich black people like your athletes, like your entertainers, Oprah Winfrey, all of those, right? Obama. So he's saying that those people have the ability to come out of the rut and make something good for themselves. But then in the process of doing that, they put down white people and make black people feel like they're the victim forever, even though their successes have proven that black people are actually not at a victim level in the United States. Now, what I will add to that is, yes, you can have people in an oppressed group being successful, right? It doesn't mean that the overall group is perfectly okay. You know, you can say that there is an issue here with being seen as the victim all the time and having your idols say that you are the victim. I think we can see that as a problem, but also realize that them being idols doesn't take away the fact that they came from a community of oppression, a community where their ancestors were highly discriminated against. And all those things can stay in a generation. It can stay in a person for a while.
Black fatigue is real. Everybody is so tired of both of these groups of black people that they don't know what to do. So yeah, black fatigue is real, and I got it.
So that is for the black side. A lot of those black people, you're going to call them cones, you're going to call them all that. That don't matter. They are people too. There can be communities within the black community. There can be differences within the black community. And these people, a huge part of why they're also highly motivated to talk about black fatigue and express their concerns with the black community is because they don't feel seen by their own community because they're quote unquote different from the rest. That's why he's saying the top two, right? The poor blacks that complain about whites and the rich blacks that complain about whites are in the same group. The black minority or silent majority is coming out to really compete with these people and tell them that, yes, you guys are wrong. That is the big core component I'm seeing from the people, the black people that are coming out and speaking for black fatigue.
Black fatigue is a thing. Newsflash. White people don't want to live around ratchet black people, and black people don't want to live around ratchet black people.
Nobody wants to live around ratchet people. This is the other issue with this thing. This is that silent issue that's in the background. They're treating it as a black and white thing, not a people versus people thing. I think we're coming to a place right now where people are becoming more and more individuals, and they are not just seeing themselves as black or white anymore. They're seeing themselves as themselves, and they have likes and they have differences. So this guy just saying that, oh, ratchet black people are the people that you don't want to live with. This guy also wouldn't want to live with ratchet white people.
I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere, in every aisle, unattended, and that's anywhere you go.
Now, if a white person said that, that person will be considered racist. But now coming from a black person, I don't think we can treat it any differently. He's being stereotypical to his own race. It's definitely coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of concern. But it just seems like he's leaning way too much into the stereotype. White people do that all the time. It's not just black people that will go somewhere and just take over the place. That's just a bad, person. That's just a person that doesn't care about how other people are being treated in the environment. Okay, I don't think that's a specific black thing, but maybe his experiences have shown that black people do that more. But you can't, that's not a race thing, bro.
No matter what, they're highly emotional, highly sensitive. You can't say nothing. You can't even smile and hold the door for them because they'll look at you like you're crazy. And always the victim of something. Either you stepped on a shoe, you looked at them wrong, you told them good morning. They're never happy, they're never satisfied.
You bring your kids to Walmart, you talk, you're a little sensitive, you say things that are on your mind, and they're gonna call you a black person that they're fatigued about. The same argument can be used against this guy that's making the video. And I don't want it to seem like I'm coming out just to yap about the people that love the black fatigue on the black side, because I'm someone I can say that, yes, there are parts of the black culture that I don't like, but some of these things that I'm seeing just seems like people being sensitive again, and then they were blaming the people that they were tired about being sensitive. You guys, I hope you guys are getting it. Black people that are in the black culture, in the ghetto blacks as they call them, right? The ghetto blacks are emotional, they're sensitive, they complain about everything. And then these so-called reform blacks are coming here sitting on the internet saying, complaining, being sensitive about black people. It's the same shit.
And you wonder why normal, good black people move out of the hood as soon as they start getting successful.
Normal, good black people is an insane statement. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to move off of this guy and actually go on to another person that I think said this a little better and didn't rely on the stereotype as much, because his criticisms and things to say about it does resonate with me as well, and it might resonate with you.
Black fatigue. This video might make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be made. There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote-unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that, because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin.
That is facts. We all should be, from the day one, from the day they abolished slavery, we should be based or judged on the content of our character. The cool way to kind of put black fatigue is white people saying they don't like meth heads or just like trash whites. And white people express that all the time. They don't like a part of their race. And that is something that is natural. That is not something that should create a movement. Maybe you're a black person that don't like ghetto blacks. That is cool. It doesn't have to be a reform thing. I think this is the problem with the black community. They try to make things so much bigger than it is. You're a black person and you don't relate to the other black people that have different upbringings than you. Cool, it happens. You got to realize that we're more so individuals than black. Okay, being black doesn't automatically put you in a certain community that you have to be a part of for forever. This is the same thing that you guys are afraid of white people doing, right? White people creating their own community based off of their race. Right? That would be dumb. So why are we doing that? Why are we sitting here and saying, just because I have this skin color, I have to fit in with these people? And if I don't, I have to say that I'm tired of them and call it so-called black fatigue, when y'all don't even know what that shit means.
But the interesting part is the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our skin dictates the content of our character. That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white, when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole.
Okay, so you're acting white. That's like an insult that I get. And, I don't, it's not fun, but it's like, bro, I have to care for it to really like hurt me. If you care about what a black person think or what a white person think, you're doing something wrong. You're caring about what a person think. It's not like the fact that they're black or not. You're always going to act a certain way. There are Asians that act black. There are white people that act black and they get shit for it. All right. Once you're not doing the things that you're culturally expected to do, there are going to be backlash from it, whether it's from your own culture or from the culture that you're trying to, or you're more so aligned with, right? Maybe white people might see you like, why are you trying to be white? Black people see you like that. That's the consequences of our decisions sometimes. All right. If those people call you out on it, it's up to you on how you respond. You don't have to come here and start a whole movement and call black people black fatigue, bro. People don't care about you that much. There's like that little majority that are going to call you, oh, you're trying to be white. Who cares? What's wrong with white people? Maybe like you think some things from white people are cool, bro. Just do that. You don't have to give a fuck about what they're saying.
And that's why there's individuals who are black who do and can have black fatigue, because they see how damaging it is to see the worst of us attract all this negative attention that then unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often.
That's the problem of community thinking. That's the problem with tribalism. That's the problem with the black community. The fact that we have a black community is the problem. Okay, I will understand black community when we are being oppressed and stuff like that. But once you have a black community, you automatically separate yourself from the rest of the world and you see yourself through a lens of black first before human second. You are a human being first. Okay, people are gonna not like you. You can't auto assume it's because you're black. And even if it's because, bro, if a person don't like you because you're black, like, why do you even care, bro? Like, what is that person really gonna do to you? If they're not, first of all, you're not a slave to them, right? They're not stopping your income in any way. They don't have any rights or authority over you. They just don't like you because you're black. Cool, move on. Like, that's their own problem. Like, how are you gonna watch sports if you don't like black people? How are you gonna like be entertained? Hey, low-key, I feel sad for them people, man. I feel sad for them. Hey, if you're a racist in 2025, bro, I feel bad for you. Because that's hard. You are committed. Now, let's actually talk about the people on the other side of this who are speaking against the black fatigue movement. Because for one, I just see both sides and I kind of understand where they're both coming from. But let's hear the other side and I will give my conclusive thought about it.
White people attempting to rebrand white rage by co-opting the term black fatigue as though it's a phenomenon they actually experience but only recently found the language to talk about is both dystopianly weird and tragically on brand. The copying, the whitewashing, the centering themselves by playing victim. But what's ironically telling about it is that the concept of racial battle fatigue is not new. It's been around for decades. And the term black fatigue has been used by black people for quite a while. Mary Frances Winters wrote a book that came out in 2020 titled Black Fatigue, and it describes the mental, emotional, and physical exhaustion that black people experience because of systemic racism. Now, notice how black people didn't call that white fatigue, because the purpose is not to assign blame in order to justify bad behavior. It is called black fatigue because it is a harm that black people experience, and so their focus is on addressing and combating that harm. Whereas when white people talk about experiencing black fatigue, they are not talking about a harm that they experience because of black people or anybody else. They are literally telling on their own inability to live in society with black people.
When I watched this video, I thought about two things. All right. So this is about white people specifically talking about black fatigue. They're not talking about black people talking about black fatigue. All right. And what she says there does make a lot of sense and has merit. But when you look at this a little deeper, you see that this again is the same racial thing that they're trying to bring up. OK, just because a person is talking about it from a white perspective, it makes it so much more different than a person talking about it from a black perspective. I don't know where like the world will ever come to where we just see people for people, where we just like see a white person talking about it as not like a white person creating a whole movement for white people to go against black people. Yes, she makes good points, but she's making it too black and white, and obviously she's Asian. I don't think the race should be the determining factor in how a person responds or talk to someone, especially in the society that we live in today. I think people should be free enough to express themselves and talk about this issue. You shouldn't stop talking about the issue just because you're white. I think that's where it brings a lot of resentment from the other side. If you want to block people from talking or stop people from talking or having opinions on something because of their race, you're doing the same thing that people back in the past did to black people. And I don't think we should be out here trying to repeat things that we've seen in the past and how it's not worked, because all of those things that happened to black people in the past has caused a lot of resentment, and that's what it's causing right now with these white people coming out saying white fatigue and all black fatigue and all that. There is some resentment there, all right, and they should be heard out. They should be heard and listened to. Same way how if black people have concerns, they should be heard and listened to. We're so caught up in this white black racial mindset and not actually seeing people for people. A white person wants to learn more about something or talks about something that they have an opinion on, oh my God, you're racist, you're this, you're that. So obviously now they're just gonna embody that position and talk about it. Like, what do they have to lose? They can't express an opinion without being name called. So name call them. They're gonna express their opinion either way.
But I really don't think that it's black fatigue. I think that it's ghetto fatigue, ignorance fatigue, hood fatigue. You've seen them. Bonnets and PJs, pants half off their arse, and they bring with them a certain demeanor.
We have mediocre white men fatigue, where we watch a group of talentless Nepo babies who never worked for anything in their mediocre white lives.
See, the same thing that guy said, the black dude that I said earlier, I'm going to probably play the clip.
I mean, it's nothing like going to the Walmart on a Sunday morning and then you see the bonnet crew walk in. Loud, obnoxious, the kids are everywhere.
Said the same exact thing.
Bonnets and PJs, pants half off their arse, and they bring with them a certain demeanor.
But because he said it and he's white, he's gonna be literally name called and insulted. His entire race is about to get insulted because he said that.
We have white fragility fatigue because the supreme majority is so weak, you feel extremely threatened by 15% of the population simply existing. We have Karen fatigue, where the weakest group of females bully 5-year-olds because you never develop mentally and emotionally past the age of 5.
And so this doesn't help anyone. This doesn't do anything to lead to any better discussions or solve any problems. We're just doing a versus. That's what the freaking internet is. Everybody wants to put their opinion on something without actually seeing the other side. They just want to call people out by their names and not actually solve a problem. This is terrible for any discussion. This is terrible to find any solution to any problem. And that's why I feel like my opinion was pretty needed on this topic. And the overarching thing that a lot of people will talk about here is, do we have to start taking more accountability as black people? Do we have to start understanding more criticisms from the other side, like how white people are kind of, criticizing the black community right now? Because I feel like it's time for people to be people and talk about things that they don't like. We all have free speech, and people shouldn't be held to their racial bounds in order to talk about certain things. That is completely flawed. I think we're going into a good place in the world where people can talk about their issues with black culture, and black people should be able to listen to that and not just base it off of the person's race. They can't just say white people can talk about black culture or problems with the black community just because they're white. That is so stupid. That is so dumb. And black people can just start stereotyping their own people, right? And not expect to get backlash about it. We got to realize that we're not groups, we're individuals. All right. And we choose to get into these groups. And when we don't align with certain identities, it becomes a problem. We have to be more individuals. We have to think for ourselves instead of thinking with a collective hive brain. That's what animals do. We're more than that. We're conscious freaking beings. All right. Pray to the Lord. We're out, my boy. Peace.